What is it that makes a country extraordinary? Its monuments? Its art? Its cities reflecting its history? Italy is bursting with beauty. Beauty you can admire, beauty you can immerse yourself in. But nothing tells the Italian story more than its tastes and aromas. An essence you can only discover when you live it fully. An essence that awakens memory and all the senses, becoming almost tangible in a glass of Prosecco surrounded by the hills. In a pizza, fresh out of the oven at the foot of Vesuvius, taste and aroma transport us to the places where they were created. To the names and origins we proudly protect, they evoke the intimate connection between humankind, enchanted lands, and majestic cities. They are the guardian of our history, the heritage of traditions dating back centuries, living on in the age-old skills repeated by new generations, telling us who we are today while whispering to us about the future, encapsulated in our products and carrying our greatest art, the art of living. And there is no greater value worth protecting, nor better product worth exporting.
Good morning, good afternoon. Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Welcome to Long Island Board of Realtors Travel Abroad Virtually. My name is Kae-Won Song. I'm the chair for the Long Island Board of Realtors Global Committee. Before we begin, there are a few general guidelines. You will be muted to all the sessions. Our coordinator, Evan Smith, will monitor the conversation. Kindly submit the questions in the chat box. They will address during the Q&A sessions. Today, we are heading to Italy. Italy is famous for its huge contributions to the worlds of art, architecture, fashion, opera, literature, design, and film. The list goes on. Evan?
Thank you, Kay, and thank you all for being here with us today. It is my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Mr. Antonio Capagnoli. Mr. Capagnoli is the co-founder of Il Punto Corfac International, partner of Studio Legal LEXCC, and managing director of H&D Legal. Previously, Mr. Capagnoli worked with leading international business law firms and has 20 years of experience in legal advice, transactional liability insurance, authorization of crowdfunding platforms, credit funds, and security structures. He has also dedicated himself to impact reporting and the development of sports facilities through PPPs and crowdfundings of social enterprises. He graduated from Bolt Hall Barclay Law School with honors, is admitted to Milan's Lawyers Order, and is a member of many prestigious organizations, including FIAPSI, of which he is the immediate past president of. Additionally, he is the co-author of the European Evaluation Standards, organizes conferences and events in this field, and has been co-director of the Real Estate Expert Evaluator course, organized by TIMA Milan Real Estate Exchange in cooperation with the main professional orders at the Cattolica University. Mr. Capagnoli, it's all you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the events. And thank you to introduce Italy, that is the country where I'm born and where I live. And I'm very proud to help you to work with us, to work with the Italian market, to tell you how to do, and to give you also some tips. I will focus on the residential, because I believe that is the most easy and most, I think, interesting. But if you need maybe in the question some tips about the industrial of office, I will tell you. The residential in Italy, except Milan and Rome, is a very, I will say, very cheap market. Basically, if you believe that Italy is expensive, no. If you're excluding maybe Tuscany or a couple of other regions, Italy is a very affordable market. You can believe that you can buy a house with 50, 100,000 euro, a house that can be already renovated. And if you can also pay more, but the starting point is this. And how you can work with the Italian market? First of all, usually your clients has already an idea of what he wants. It can be a client that interested on the seaside or mountain or historical cities. I don't know how much you know about Italy, but we are not a huge country, not like US or quite small. You can think about this kind of state like Florida, maybe that is the dimension. So, but it's very as like an heritage of history that is fantastic, as 2,000 years of, maybe 5,000 years of buildings and construction. So basically, there are two big towns that are Milan and Rome, and the other are plenty of little middle-aged village where you can have everything, hospital, education. And please note that in Italy, we have a big advantage. Everything is free. As in Europe, as you know, the socialist party is very strong. I don't know how much we can support this in the future, but so far, if you come in Italy, the hospital is free, all the medical assistant is free, everything about the education is free, and the quality of life is amazing. For example, don't think about for example, third world countries. No, Italy is a very safe place. Even if you think in the south, maybe in New York, or there is kind of about our past of the influence of mafia. This stuff is today is not like this. I mean, maybe they change, but there is no way to find you can go in the night, you can walk. I mean, as in any place, you have to avoid a specific place, but are very, very few, especially are close to the two big cities, Milan and Rome. As all the big cities, as they have some surrounding that can be a little place where there are more poor people. But on the average side, the population of Italy is old, very old, and we don't have we don't make kids. The level of the birth rate is, I think, the lowest in the world, together with Japan. And this is why you find a so affordable house in the market. Because basically the countryside was full of population, and this population decreased, and the number of property for each residence in Italy is huge. Basically, we have 3-4 property per capita for each people. Is why, because maybe are not villa or stuff, but make you the consideration. We come from the countryside, and most of the population was a very poor population till 100 years ago. My grandfather was emigrated in New York in 1909, I think. My grandmother was US citizens and stuff, and they come from a very poor situation. Today is not anymore like this. I mean, my father is still resident in New York, and so I know very well New York. I don't feel okay. New York is a very rich place, but I don't feel that going to US, I feel a better situation is safer. Now we are the similar style of life, and I think is much more I mean, also if you see the cost of living is very low. I mean, I've been in New York 1 month ago, 2 months ago, and I find the cost of living in the last 1 year quite grow up. Also here is growing up because there is a inflation a little bit, but there is a quite a difference, especially not in Milan or Rome. You can have a dinner with 25 euro per person, maximum 50, and now the dollar a euro is 1-1, so $25, 25 euro is the same. So the past was not available. So now you can understand much better what is the exchange of rate of the two currency. So the cost of living is quite nice, and the quality of life is very high, because all the population is very old. There are places where you can find a location to spend your summer, where they can provide you a lot of, I don't know, wine tasting, or place where you can go to ski, where you can have therms. We have a lot of therms. We have 2-3 volcans, and so, okay, as always, there is some risk. Also, Italy is a quite a risky place for earthquake, especially in the south, but also in US. I mean, if you go in California, there is also there not a low risk of like earthquake, but the legislation is quite advanced. All the new building has been built according to all the regulation to prevent the collapse. And I think I'm almost 50. I never like face any the dangers about earthquake. So basically, when you have a client, you need to understand where he wants to have. I find 2 possibilities you can work. Or you have a clients that have some parents in the past in Italy, so he has inherited a little house in some part of the village, so you need to find a seller. And usually in this way, you need to, first of all, to help him to understand who is the owner, and especially if he's still the owner. Because it's not nice to say, but usually this kind of heritage comes from at least 60 or 70, 100 years where the population was not, his parent was not anymore there. My parents moved from US 100 years ago, 110 years ago, was 6 brothers, only one come back, that was my grandmother, just for the second big war as a assistance for the Ally. So I was basically born from a US citizens that come back. But usually the risk is that the neighbors take over the property. So the first of your activity is help your client to make a survey of what he still has. Second level of the stage is help your client to maximize the value, because basically after so many years that he does not know anything about that property, the most easy thing that they can do, find anybody that can buy this, and that's it. Give me what you can give me, and I forgot. Can be the best solution, can be not the worst, can also be not the best deal for your client, and also for you, because your business can be also more productive if you be an advisor to help him to maximize what is in his assets. So the first situation that can happen, that you find a property in Italy and your client is from US. Many millions of US citizens are at least in 2-3 generation have some parents from Italy. So it's very easy. It's not some impossible situation. And most of the time, the connection has been lost. I tell you why, because we were very poor, we left, and from the Italian perspective, the people that has left, basically they went in a new world and they start to speak a new language. So it's possible that they have still a connection, but very, very likely they lost everything, any connection. So they're the owner of the property, but they don't. What I can tell you that from 12 years is not something some come from very, very, very many years ago. In Italy exists the possibility to have the title insurance as in US. I was one of the most involved guy in this business, but I'm not the only one, there is many. But I brought the title insurance in 2008 in Italy. So I know that is a market that can help your clients to provide to the buyer the same like adequate guarantees in the selling process as you give in US. Despite this, the Italian market is very well educated, safe in the transaction. There is the main difference that we are based on the notary system. We have if the civil law is based on the notary, the common law from the US is based also in the notary, but basically in the insurance. In Italy, we have now also the insurance, but basically all the legality on the transaction, on the transfer is mandated to this public and quite also fundamental role that is the notary public. It's totally different the role. In US, the notary can be everybody almost. In Italy, is very educated, very difficult to be appointed as notary by the state, very well paid, and is very much the guarantee that you are buying with a good title. So the first business that you can face is to help your client to deal with a property, a piece of property. So first a survey, after to decide what is the price. What is the next step? To find a buyer. You can do also by yourself, but I don't suggest you to do like this for two reasons. You need to understand that it's better to make a agreements of cooperation, and so split part of the fees, make a referral fees, or then to don't serve better in the best way like your clients. So I kindly suggest you to find a local colleagues that can help you to help you on the site. On the other way, if the property is important, I suggest you also to come over with your clients. I tell you the cost of flying in Italy from New York is from 500, 600, 700, 800 euros. So this is the cost. So it's not, and the cost of living here. So if your client is able to sponsor your coming over, I think it can be very useful. This kind of support is more for big property or for a more big deals, but you can also be, I mean, you can find an agreement with your clients also in little more deal. Once you have an idea of what you are selling, what are the problems that are still pending on this property, there is the next step is to selling the property. In Italy, we have basically three websites where you can selling: Immobiliare.it, Casa.it, and Idealista. So basically, is one market where the website has win against the website of the chain. So the main chains of residential, Sarpi, Gabetti, this is the name, Tecnocasa, Tempo Casa, but each of them has his own also website where to listing the property. But I tell you, the only listing that are quite sense to do is this of 1 or 3 places where everybody go to check. So Immobiliare.it, Idealista.it, sorry, Immobiliare.it, Idealista.it, and Casa.it. So basically, especially Immobiliare.it, you find everything. You also find a lot of information about the price, about competitors, competitor listing. So it's very well managed website. So the listing, and you in this phase, I think your marketing skills develop in US can be very fruitful. I tell you, the broker in Italy and the agent in Italy are less educated on market skill than the US. So in this cooperation that you can, you need to find on the Italian market, you can bring your capability to promote the property on matter of good pictures, good presentations, video, strategy to promote it. You are more advanced. If you see this website, you see that 90% of the place are pictures and some maps, some drawings. So to see how it's not so sophisticated as some presentation that I know from the New York market. So if a part of the strategy of selling that you can be very active, not just passive, is the marketing side.
Antonio, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
you mentioned the 3 main websites where most people put their real estate listings on. Are you able to put your listing on all 3 of the sites, or are you only able to choose one of the sites to?
No, you can. No, they cost you about 100. I can ask Lucrezia, that is in my colleagues. Quanto costa mettere quanto costa una pubblicità su Immobiliare.it? We can check how much we pay. So it's not cheap.
Oh, there's like a membership that you pay to be able to. Got you.
It's not cheap, but it's about 100 euro per listing. That is, you need to buy. So it's why I suggest you to also coordinate with your local partner, because, for example, they don't sell you only one listing. The minimum offer is, I think, 10. So it's better to also for your client to invest 100 euro than pay 1,000 for 9 listings that you don't use.
Is there a time limit on how long that listing?
No.
Until it sells?
Absolutely not. Basically, the fees are renewed per year. Still, you have a position that still you pay. You basically you keep the listing, and they give you also report about how many people visited the listing, if somebody wrote you, or so you have a minimum of visibility.
Gotcha. Thank
I
you.
did not tell you anything about the market so far. But I tell you, in general, the market is very cheap. I can also show some, I share but after I tell you. So finish the last step. The last step is the transaction. In the transaction, you need to appoint a notary compulsory. And after there are some optional like professions. One is a surveyor called, for example, a geometer, or a lawyer. Depends all about, I will say, the problems that you can find like on the property, because tell you some issue. For example, in Italy, there is some laws that want to push the owner to ask the duly permit for building anything that is connected to the real estate, that basically check that the property is if the building is the same of the building that is registered. And sometimes is not really the same, because, for example, typical stuff, the property has made a new bathroom, and they did not went to the register to change the drawings to the municipality. So basically, when you need to sell, you need to update, make a little kind of administrative proceeding to update the drawings. Without this, you cannot sell. This is a technical issue that is eventual, is not always there, and can be solved by a surveyor. For example, you can need lawyers, and I tell you another part of can happen that, for example, the apartment or on the properties was a part of a family property, and now they share courtyard. They never make an agreement about how to use the courtyard, because basically the property that you're dealing with was empty for 100 years. And now that you're selling, you need to find an agreement, we call a regolamento di condominio, so an agreement, a condominium regulation. And this you need a lawyer. So basically, the notary is the only professionist that is always there. The others can be not there. The language is another issue. Usually you speak only English, and Italian don't speak English. So this is another, is even more important that the colleagues that you choose in Italy to cooperate with needs to speak a little bit of English. Because you have a Google translation, it's true, but for example, when you is about to have document or understand the document, it's much more easier to have a person that is also a translator of the needs of your client, and is also good for the negotiation of the deal, because also in this case, the final deed of transfer will be 95% in Italian. Can be also in English, not compulsory technically, that is in Italian. But I tell you, the notary can accept the English version if he speaks English, if the both parties prove to understand perfectly what are they saying. Because these three conditions, they never like met, I tell you, is very important to have a facilitator of the languages. I tell you also the other case, and after I go to the market. What happened on the opposite side. You have you are in Long Island. You find a guy that has a restaurant. The restaurant is L'Amalfi, and he has a grandfather that was in Sicily, and say, okay, I want to buy a nice property in Sicily because now I'm rich. I want to go back where my grandfather came from. He was very poor. I want to go back and buy a property. This can be, I tell you also the mentality. We left very poor, you become rich, you come back, want to buy a property, something that in your family nobody was able to have when your family left Italy to come in US. So it's also a way to have a property there. So also in the case that the stage is very similar. You need to have the requirements. In this case, the alliance, the finding agent, maybe is not the first things you need to find, but you have to find a very early stage. Because if the requirements cannot be met, you need to find to have some inputs at the beginning. Not necessarily at the very beginning, because, for example, you find that if you want to buy in Sicily or in Puglia, it's different market. So at least the territory where you want to buy, you need to have an idea. And once you have found the property, when you find the requirements, what I suggest to you, again, to go to the website I mentioned to you. Why? Because the best way to serve your client is not just to follow the listing of the brokers that you ask to be your partner on this deal. It has to be very clear that we need to find the property that is on the market despite the broker that is listing. Very different stuff. In Italy, there is not a multi-listing services as in US. So basically, every broker has his own listing, and depends on the market, is not compulsory to cooperate. So this is also very important at the beginning to how to instruct your client about the fees. If on the selling process is much more easy to understand the fees because basically you are the boss on the fee structure, on the finding way, you need to a little bit more flexible with your clients, because it can be that the local broker that you find, the local broker that is listing the property that you find directly or with the help of the local broker that is your partner, can ask you a fee. Why I believe that is better to have 3 brokers involved? Because if you deal with the broker that is listing, there is basically a conflict of interest, because basically you need to be able to say goodbye, I don't like the property, and this is not the best choice for my clients. You can do only like this if you have one local broker on your side that is able to basically help you to go from this broker to other broker, to sign also the splitting agreement, because the splitting agreement is much easier that has been signed by the local agent than the new from US. So to find the property can be more difficult on the fee structure, because basically you need to understand that you need an help locally, and not always the broker that is on the site is willing to cooperate. The good point is this, that in Italy, the fees that are requested by the broker are not so high as in like in US, because our system is based on the two-side fees. Usually the broker asks 2% from one side, 2% from the other side. In US, usually, I don't know, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, you can ask 4, 5, 6% from one side, because basically you are paid from one side. If you're not paid from one side, it's very similar like in Italy. In Italy, they never, so you can find a broker that asks you to be paid 2%. What happened is the good point to have the local friends that they can bargain to take 1% from him, 1% from you. You take, for example, 2-3% from your clients. So basically 3 plus 2 is 5. So you keep a 5-6% is feasible. I mean, I think is the international transaction has a cost. So you cannot think about to go under this kind of a level of fee structure, even because you cannot cooperate. So you find a property. I can show. If I can share the video, I can see. I tell you how to do.
Hold on one sec. I think you should be able to. Let me just make sure.
Quanto? Per? So basically, we pay for Immobiliare.it 130 euro per month, so 1,500 euro per year, for 20 listing of selling, 20 listing of rent. So it's not much. So basically 100 euro per listing per year. So Immobiliare.it, I find it, I see if I can share.
While you're bringing that up, there was a couple of questions that
Yeah, please.
are pretty relevant. So typically, how long does a real estate transaction last? You know, from beginning of conception to you know, signed, sealed, and delivered. How long usually is a transaction?
Tell you the truth, the very long is not the transaction, is the start of the transaction. What happened in my little career is this. From the moment where you have a contact with the broker from New York that has a friend that has a restaurant, and when you start to work, you spend 1 year. Why? Because in that year, the restaurant from New York usually is not very focused to give you a mandate. So I started to understand if he go to the vacation in Italy, he can do by himself. So he spent 1 year to understand that it's better to give you the mandate to work all out by your assistants than go by himself. Once you have the mandate, everything is done in from 6 to 12 months. So this is the real work is 6 to 12 months.
Would you happen, another question from the chat, would you happen to know how many licensed real estate agents there are in Italy versus non-licensed agents?
So there is only licensed agents. So you must to check if the license, and you must to check in what association they are part of. The main association are called FIMA, FIAIP, and ANAMA. So ANAMA is the big chain. So basically it's not possible. They are not a license because they are big brands. FIMA is about 50,000 member, and FIAIP is 1,000, is about 11,000. So basically, So
Antonio, would you be able to spell those acronyms for us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Tell me, just 1 second. I send you in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Yes, someone in the chat was asking if you could spell
Yeah,
those
absolutely.
associations. So if everyone who is in Italy and is a licensed real estate agent, so if we have someone in New York that wants to purchase or has a client that wants to purchase a property in Italy, they're going to be dealing with someone who went through, formal schooling and is well versed in the real estate industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I send you the Immobiliare.
Thank you so much. Someone else was also asking for the websites that you had mentioned. So thank you so much for that as well.
And now I try to show you my how to share. How I can show my can I show the
You should be able to share.
yeah. Okay. So wait a second. So for example, I just went, I did not really prepare this part, so I just went to a countryside, and this is 100 kilometers from Milan. So it's a very nice place called Monferrato, where all the wine like Barolo is made and stuff. So I open this. This is a property with a little village, 80,000. So I show you the pictures. You can understand how it's done. So it's not a rich house, but is not even not used. So sometimes, like in this case, there is also furniture inside.
Antonio, is there mortgage available, or are all these basically paid in full?
This is a big question. To have finance from a local bank, if you have an international client, is not easy at all, because basically your clients is not has not any background for the Italian banks. There are some companies, don't ask me the name because I make some conference with this girl a couple of years ago, but I don't remember the name, that they offer DD services. So basically they offer the services to provide you loans to finance. What I suggest is this: to put this problem as one of the biggest. I mean, to finance directly by the Italian banks is very difficult. So you cannot take 6 months, as I told you, if you need to find finance. But if you are able to put at least 60–70% on down payment, is much easier, because basically the bank feel much more safe on the, and so you can also be able to find an Italian bank. And So is a very good questions. So you see, there is all about 79, 80. Okay, this is a little bit more costly, but is 69. Even 222. So I can give you another. This is a little village. We go now in a bigger village, Vercelli. This is a place also with with all the schools. Vercelli, no, Vercelli, no, Becea, no, Vercelli. Is a very historical town in Italy, in half an hour from Milan. You see the price are a little bit higher than what we see before, but not even, I mean, you can find also property like this that is for 30,000 euro. I mean, it's not something, so, and if you have instead a client that has more money to spend in Vercelli, you can find a very nice property. I can see the one that was 250. This is the entire B building. So they're selling the old building for 239. And this is also the entire B building. So you pay for that price, you buy all the building. So it's not, I tell you, it's a very nice city. Huh? So basically, you need to understand that the market is very different from what you can believe to be. It's not a very expensive like market. It's true. If you go in Milan, I go in Milan where I live. Yes, in Milan it's expensive.
Wow.
Milano, where I live, is expensive. Yes, also Rome.
Antonio, so our state association is the ambassador, us as the NAR appointed ambassador association with FIAP. And at the midwinter meetings that were last month, there was a presentation when they went to go visit, and they said that some places don't come with the kitchens, and the people, when they move, they take their cabinets with them. Is that a very
It's totally
common
true. For
practice?
example, yes, I know that because my father is resident in New York. In New York, we are owner of multifamilies. So we know exactly what are the regulations in New York, and totally different. In New York, you need to provide the kitchen, the bathroom, I mean, you know better than me. In Italy, no. Is also true is this, that you can you can find a property that is fully equipped, but is not compulsory. So you need to take this in mind. And Milan, instead, is a totally different market. I don't know if you see. As you say, the kitchen, we call cucina, is empty.
Mm.
So you fully, I agree with you. It's a shame, but it's like this. So this is Milan, quite expensive market. Tell me a city that you believe that is expensive. Venice, for example. You like Venice? It's not expensive at all. Not like cheap as Montaldo, but it's not Venice. Venice.
Antonio, are there any restrictions other than maybe not being able to get a mortgage or some sort of loan in order to buy a property, but are there any restrictions for foreign buyers?
No. If you're not from Swiss and not from Malaysia.
Oh, okay.
Why?
And
because I don't know, please note this. So far, there is no any restriction, but there is a simple rules, Article 16(1)(6) of the codes that say, any limitation that there is in your countries, there is in our countries. So basically, since Swiss prohibit to buy residential from Italians, they cannot buy like residential. The same from Malaysia. So if tomorrow, I don't know, it's not, I think, open the case, but the US decide that we cannot buy anymore like residential there, is immediately applied the same in Italy.
Okay, that makes sense. Are there any restrictions?
No, the main restriction, you know what is the permit to stay.
Oh, okay. Is there a restriction for like Airbnb? So if a foreign buyer purchased a property and then Airbnb'd it or something like that?
No, you can, absolutely, yes, you can. And I tell you, the restriction by visa between US is not very strong. I mean, you can ask, obtain very easily a visa to stay. Not so easy a visa to work. So you need to check a little bit more if you want to work in Italy. But it's not between US and Italy, there is a very good standing of relationship. So it's not a problem of passport and stuff. But it's not immediately possible to you to work in Italy without a permit. You can stay and usually they give you permit to stay without any problems. They check if you never be in jail, something like this, but it's not I mean, normal stuff. I mean. Venice.
Antonio, is there some sort of list that our members could use if they had a client
You see,
that was looking
this
for
is a
property?
completely full equipment,
Oh, wow.
For example.
Wow, that's beautiful.
You see? And is not so expensive. I mean, is 260. There is also more expensive, but
One of the members in the one of the attendees asked, can we see properties in Sardinia?
yeah. Yeah, also you can you want to see property in Sardinia, yes.
And then another question while you're looking at it. So let's say one of our members wants to connect with someone from Italy. They have a customer that wants to buy. Is there a list that they would be able to go to? Like how would our members connect with members in Italy?
Good point. I don't know if I don't think so. There is a list of Good point. Tu sai se sull'elenco di FIMA ci sono I nomi? Non credo.
No, non ho visto il registro. Controllo, ma non per prego.
I don't know. This is a good point. I think I tell you, I think you can write one to this association. Actually, I can also put another association that is, I'm the media past president, that is FIAPSI, and we have as member FIAP, FIMA, all the, because it's a federation.
Yeah.
I can tell you, is this? I can tell you, where is the chart?
Excuse me. So first of all, we can try go to NAR Global first.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is a member in Italy. So go look at the NAR Global. Then you will see the member in Italy, and there are towns, some of the member, NAR member in Italy we have.
See, I try to. So also FIAPSI is, I can, the FIAP, FIMA are all member of FIAPSI, so I can give you, we can put in contact with the director of this association. So as you see, also this is Cagliari, Sardinia. Depends what area. Cagliari is a big city, eh? Cagliari is the main place where all the offices. So basically, you can go here and spend hours to look the properties and understand what you like. There is no any. There is also many tools. I mean, in all the website, there are many tools how to find the property, how you can. So after this, I want to tell you a little bit about the market. We come up from 2, 3, 4, 5 years of increasing of the price. And since the war in Ukraine, the market a little bit slowed down, especially connected to the rates of inflation that does start to have some effects on the mortgage rate. So this is has to be considered, especially if you wanted to advise your client to enter in this moment in the market. Can be a good moment where you can have a good bargain to buy, because the market has slowed down, not so much, but has slowed down. And the price still has not have a huge, I mean, the market in Milan has slowed down of 5% of the number of transactions, and the price is not still go down. So if you need to buy now, as I advise you to offer a lower price on the asking price. Today is the buyer market. On the same side, it's important to understand that your clients need to at least have a time frame of investment about 3-4 years. It's not wise to exit the market very fast, because there is transaction cost, and so it's not a way to buy property and selling in a speculative way is very smart. If you do like this, you can find some try to buy some property in auction stuff, but I don't advise you to do this from New York. I mean, it's too risky. So this is the moment of the market. If you are curious about other market, I I can go, for example, Roma. Roma is another very expensive market. I mean, I show you without any idea. I mean, this is Roma.
Antonio, what is the average price in Rome of the house?
Rome is huge. It go from 10,000 euro per square meters to 3,000, like in Milan. But also Rome is very big. If you compare with Milan, it's very big. So you go this, and you choose, you look, it's very easy to understand. And there is also all the kind of filters you can put. I use this on the mobile usually, so it's a little bit different from the computer. There's also the maps. I don't know what is the map here, but usually there is also the map.
Are most of the properties, I mean, I'm imagining that there's not very much new construction. It's probably just, mostly older architecture, for lack of a better term.
Absolutely, yes, correct. In the 2022, we had totally 5,000 construction in all the Italy. So no many new construction. No many new, but there is, for example, I show you one I showed before. This is new. This is a new construction.
And that's in Rome?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Any other question?
I know we were firing them off. I don't think that there's any more questions in the
I'm
chat.
not firing you, no. If you want, I go to take a glass of water, I come back, okay? 1 second. I don't want to fire you off. No.
No, while you're doing that, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them.
Wait a
into the
second,
chat
I go
or-
to take a glass of water. Wait a second.
Any other questions, anyone?
It looks like there's one more question that just came through that we can ask Antonio when he comes back.
I'm back.
Hey, welcome back. So while you were gone, it looks like we just got one more question and then we could start wrapping everything up. Thank you so much for your time. Can you just briefly discuss what types of financing are available? Like what usually is like the minimum that someone would need to put down? I know you said that it's pretty complicated for a foreign, like a foreign buyer to get.
I tell you what is for the local, for the residents, because from the foreign can be much more complicated. But today for the local, they have to down pay at least 20%, and they can finance the 80%. Depends very much, not only to the loan to value, but on the wage that they have. Usually the bank considered that the monthly rate should be around maximum 30% of their income. The aggregate income, because usually if a couple, they ask the couple to be bound to the obligation to the bank together. So basically they consider the common income of the two. So basically they today are watching even the loan to value of the property as well as the loan to wage of the buyers.
Thank you. Could you briefly just discuss the current interest rate on the finance loans?
Yeah, and give you also a reason why the market is frozen down. In the last 10 years, the interest rate was negative. So basically was the interest rate, the variable interest rate around 0.1, 0.2. So basically you don't pay interest. Now the variable are around 3.4% today. And the fixed rate that in the past, they reach even 1.2, 1.3, now are around 3. So today is more expensive, the variable against the fixed rate still, but the markets bring to be very fast to be around 5%, 5-6% the fixed rate, and can be in the next years around 6-7 also the variable. So the interest rate are raising very fast, and this gave you a much big idea why the market froze down, because basically there was the people was very spoiled to not pay interest at all, and now is totally a different matter.
Excellent. All right, thank you so much. I
Thank
think
you.
we are all good. I don't see that there's any more questions in the chat right now. So I very much wanted to thank you for taking the time out for this webinar today. It was very, very informational. And I know I speak for everyone else on this webinar that I got a ton of information out of it. So I hope that everyone else did too.
If you wanted to read the question, if I need to answer something, because I was not able to pass through the question, I'm not reading this because they changed the position of in my screen. I read it, there is a lot of questions. So if you was able to read and I missed something, I'm here to answer.
No, I actually think that we answered all of them that were in the chat, and then a couple actually came to me privately.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Mabel. For sure, if you want also to ask me, I'm able to assist you, but I'm not really here to promote myself. So I'm very happy that you contact me, and very keen to help you again in any kind of other events. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Antonio. I really appreciate your time. And thank you all for joining us this event. And then we'll see you next month for another country for the travel abroad.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.